The aftermarket fuel injection industry began around the mid to late 1980s. Australia was leading the way with emerging companies like Motec, Microtech, EMS and Haltech. In 1987, two young friends, Peter and Peter, still known in the industry as Big Pete and Little Pete, were looking for ways to overcome the problems of using carburetors with turbos. They looked at some new fuel injection systems on the market and saw that they just couldn't achieve what they needed. Big Pete was an electronics engineer designing control systems for robotics, and Little Pete was a mechanical engineer working in the automotive industry. Straight away, they both knew how to attack the problem, and this is why the first prototype EMS ECU was made. Finally, in 1990, Peter and Peter released their first commercial ECU under the EMS banner. The EMS T-Series ECU used a hand controller for programming and even had battery voltage compensation, which made it quite an advanced ECU for the day. As the popularity of engine management systems grew, so did the demand for more features, and in 1995, EMS released their Q-Series ECU. This had quad maps, more auxiliary outputs and more firmware features than previous versions. EMS ECUs were becoming too sophisticated for hand controller programming, and so in 1997 the Dual Sport was released. It came with the first Windows-based laptop software. EMS employed Manuel, a freelance software engineer designing software for Australian and international companies. He designed the first Windows-based laptop software for EMS, and later became a permanent member of the EMS team. ECUs are now becoming more advanced and expensive. So in 2001, EMS released the first Stinger version 1. Even though this ECU used a more advanced processor, its features were limited to reduce cost. The Stinger is now up to version 4 and still selling today. In 2003, EMS released the Motorsport series of ECUs. These were designed to replace the Dual Sport and came with a lot of great features like engine failsafe, new laptop software, more ignition outputs and full sequential injection. The Motorsport ECU used the latest surface mount components, and so in 2005 EMS released the latest Stinger version 4, which was redesigned to use the same surface mount components. We also added some more auxiliary outputs to the new Stinger. Building on the Stinger and Motorsport hardware, in 2009 EMS released two rotary ECUs, the S2R based on the Stinger and the RTEC based on the Motorsport. Rotary engines are not piston engines and therefore have different firmware requirements. This is why EMS designed new firmware especially for the rotary engine. During this time, EMS was also expanding their product range in other areas, and in 2009 they also released their first CDI system. After that, work began on the world's first color touchscreen race logger, and in 2012 EMS released the EDL7. The dash display is fully customizable. You can select different gauges, gauge types, sizes, positions and colors. EMS has now ramped up product development. In 2014 they released the first ECUs from the MTech range, the EM70 and EM80. These offered SD card data logging, built-in G sensors, Ethernet, CAN communication, knock control and much more. In 2015 EMS released their new IDI range of ignition systems. They are better suited to today's engines and fuels. Performance engines now use multiple coils and can run with ethanol blended fuels. This makes CDI systems redundant because each coil is dwelled individually, and ethanol fuels need a long hot spark that a CDI just can't produce. 2016 was another big year for new products from EMS. First was the new dual channel throttle controller. Then the release of the MTech 100 series ECUs with drive-by-wire, cam controls, 16 injector drivers and much more. And finally the new EDL8 race dash with faster data logging, more input channels, CAN communication and shift lights. Since their first prototype, EMS have been involved in the motorsport industry for 30 years. Our foundation is based on the innovation and quality of our products.